Hello YouTube, this is Chris Shell, and today I'd like to share a very special video with you. A little bit about myself. I'm 24. I'm currently living in Mobile, Alabama, and I do a lot of research and a lot of studying, and today I'd like to tell you about some of the things that I've come across in my research, which I feel is very important that I should share with the world. I have been studying a very massive, complex conspiracy, and I believe that I have uncovered evidence suggesting an afterlife may very well exist. In this video, I will explain the information that I have found, where I found it, and how it all fits together. The first piece of evidence comes from the holographic universe theory. The theory was proposed by Gerard T. Hooft and was given a precise string theory interpretation by Leonard Susskind. A book called The Holographic Universe was written by Michael Talbot in 1991, further explaining the connection between science and mysticism. A 5-part series further explaining holographic universe theory is available on YouTube. According to the double-slit experiment, results suggest that when matter is not being observed, it collapses into a wave-like structure that exists within a sort of quantum field. The structure of an atom is mostly composed of empty space, suggesting matter is more like energy than actual physical material. The scientists featured agree that research into the field of quantum physics suggests some sort of afterlife and higher power exists. In other words, they're starting to think that the universe, everything as we know it, and in reference to holographic universe theory, the universe is literally some sort of a hologram. If this is the case, what is this afterlife like? How does it work, and what is our purpose here on earth? These are questions that mankind has been asking for literally thousands of years, and we've only just now been able to begin to discover the physical makeup of our world and what's really going on here on the planet. My research can answer all of these questions. EANS, the International Association for Near-Death Studies, has done extensive research into the subject of near-death experiences. Many of us have heard of this phenomenon either from famous movie quotes like 1982's Poltergeist, when Jo Beth Williams famously screams, "Don't go into the light," while trying to retrieve her daughter's soul from evil spirits. Since then, this famous line has been a cliché movie trope used in a number of famous movies, television series, even video games, expressing exactly how close a character is to certain death. You may also have heard of the similar phenomenon of having your life flash before your eyes, right before you die. Art often imitates life, and what many of us don't realize is that this is a very real phenomenon, and it has been studied very in depth by EANS. Heaven is for Real, a book written by Todd Burpo, later adapted into a film, follows the true story of the writer's 3-year-old son Colton, who underwent emergency surgery procedures which induced his near-death experience. In this book, Burpo claims his son describing events that seemed impossible for him to know about, such as meeting his unborn sister who was miscarried by his mother in 1998, and details of a great-grandfather who had died 24 years before Colton was born on May 19, 1999. My research led me further into this mystery, and I discovered a massive amount of research suggesting an afterlife exists. However, knowing this information isn't as important as understanding the magnitude this information implies. The near-death experience is a real phenomenon. There are thousands of accounts made by real people, and despite what our personal religious and spiritual views are within the present moment, the same thing will happen to each and every one of us, regardless of whether we believe in it or not. Because this really is happening. It is happening to other people, and they have described what they're experiencing. So if you think about it, whatever they're experiencing, and if it's very similar to what everybody else experiences according to the thousands of accounts of near-death experiences, which it is, then it's probably going to happen to you too. So, what is really going on here? Many scientists and psychologists believe the experience is caused by a chemical in the brain called dimethyltryptamine, called DMT, which is produced by the pineal gland. DMT is produced during 3 different times within our lifetimes. Once when we are born, every night when we sleep, and before we die. The chemical is psychedelic in nature and is considered an illegal substance. It is present in the bodies of nearly every plant and animal within nature and has been used for centuries by indigenous tribes in South America as a ritual psychedelic. And again, whenever the subject of near-death experiences is brought up to psychologists and scientists and all of these people, usually more often than not, they always say the same thing or similar things, that it's just some sort of hallucination. This is the conclusion that most of these people come up with, or at least claim to come up with. DMT is the chemical scientists refer to when scientists claim the near-death experience is merely a hallucination. This basically means 2 things. 1, either reality is purely physical and consciousness really is generated by our brain and ceases to exist after death, which is the most common materialistic point of view of the near-death experience. Or near-death experiencers are telling the truth. And if you believe that, if you believe in some sort of afterlife, the research into near-death experiences shows that based upon whatever it is that you believe, if you're a Buddhist, if you're a Hindu, if you're a Christian, atheists just see God. But whatever religion it is you believe in, most likely those people usually see some sort of figure related to whatever they believe in. So either these people are really seeing a hallucination, or there's something more complex going on here that we really need to figure out. There's only one truth. No matter which side of the argument you are on, it is based on factual research, and only one possibility can be true. Either materialism or spiritualism. Either this is just a hallucination, like these scientists are thinking, or Either there is only one true religion and we're just now being capable of peering into what that actually is. So basically, that basically renders any current past ideology obsolete. It is absurd in a world where technological advancement allows us to uncover mysteries of the universe and to still follow blind faith. Not only is it illogical, but it is hypocritical as well. If an afterlife truly exists and you believe in one, why then should we not be able to build a machine capable of inducing a near-death experience, send scientists into the afterlife to find evidence, and bring them back alive to tell us what they discovered? According to accounts from near-death experiencers, people are able to communicate with angelic beings, spirits, light beings, whatever really exists on the other side, they claim are relatives, and bring back information from the other side. In fact, this has been done countless times, and the information is listed on the EAN's website. So what is it then that EAN's research has concluded? Well, I've done extensive research. I've read nearly every article on their entire website. And research suggests that upon death, a soul's destination depends on the individual's thoughts and actions during the individual's life experience. Good and righteous souls go directly into one of several different levels of heaven, depending on the weight of the individual's actions in life. A more neutral soul goes to a place called the void, which is a place some souls pass on their way to heaven. The void is a place where the soul is left alone with only the individual's thoughts. And it works kind of like this, based upon whatever actions and currently held beliefs, whatever you feel when you die, when you go into the afterlife. Our soul has a kind of weight. There's a certain level of darkness and a certain level of light into your soul. And if you have more light in your soul than darkness, then that darkness can be burned away and you can enter heaven. If you have more weight, then that makes you more dense and you go further into the void. Only having positive thoughts and a willingness to face judgment can free the soul from the void. Souls unwilling to face judgment are sent to the void, where they remain trapped with their own thoughts, or with similar souls unable to harm each other in a non-physical form. The void is what most cultures refer to as hell, and is a place absent of all love. If the light is all love, if it's the purest form of love, then we can assume that hell is a place absent of all love. It's like how white is every color and how black is absent of all color. Upon death, we become the mental manifestation of what we cultivated within life. Without a body, we become pure thought, pure emotion, pure energy, pure consciousness. We become one with God, which many near-death experiences refer to as the light, who is omnipresent. Upon death, each individual is subjected to a life review, the iconic life flashing before your eyes, which is way more complicated than which is expressed in popular culture. In the life review, each individual is guided by guardian angels as he or she is shown each individual moment of his or her lifetime. We are also shown the perceptions of other people and the effects our actions cause. And the research that I've studied about this shows that it's kind of like this. We experience our whole life. It flashes before our eyes. We see every individual moment, and they show us both the good. We are shown the good deeds and the effects, and then the bad. We are also shown the domino-like cause and effect reaction those actions have on the world around us, known as the ripple effect. And basically, not only do you see every moment of your life flashing before your eyes, but you also relive it. And you don't relive it from just your perspective. You relive it from everybody else's perspective too. You relive it from the people that you conned, the people that you cheated, the people that you lied to, every bad deed that you committed, every person that you hurt. For instance, if you said something to someone that hurt their feelings, you feel how that person felt in your life review. If you killed an animal or something like that, you feel what that animal or person or whatever went through during your life review. These and some souls, what mostly send souls into the void is an unwillingness to face judgment. They're unwilling to go up into the light, become one with everything, and face the consequences of their deeds and actions in this life. These souls remain in the void until they are ready to reincarnate. Some souls are so lost that they remain stuck into the void until they're able to reincarnate into another human body and manifest on earth. Good souls as well are sometimes allowed to reincarnate in order to reach higher levels of heaven. So what is God like? Many near-death experiencers see God like many assumptions. God is all-knowing, has all knowledge. When we return and we merge with God, we gain that all-knowingness. We gain all knowledge. And many describe God as a pure, shining being made of light that would be blinding to mortal eyes. That's the often described light that we see, returning to the light. And most people describe God as a being of pure light and pure love, with unending devotion and compassion to each of us, regardless of our actions and decisions, without judgment. In other words, God isn't like some people believe, wagging a finger saying, "Oh, you dirty scoundrel, you bad guy." God is forgiving and compassionate. And we're only here to learn, to grow, to experience, to make mistakes and evolve and become better people that are more in balance with God's way of life and in harmony with altruism and acceptance of other people and working together. In heaven, everyone is innocent and childlike. Even the worst person in heaven is greater than the best on earth. Heaven is split into layers, much like the void, and each person is directed to whichever level is the most suitable based upon their development. But what is our purpose on earth? Every individual is given their own unique set of circumstances, personality, and skills people often say that we're each given our own gift, our own talent, that we're meant to use for the greater good of humanity and progression and evolving the human race and not money, which is what most of us use our talents for. Like music, like art, like intelligence, like communication, like just generally being a good person, like understanding, like having a connection with nature, things like that. We can choose to seek a higher purpose. We can choose to seek truth and enlightenment, or we can live a life of fulfillment, greed, selfishness, and thrill-seeking. The actions we choose depend on our evaluation of the world around us and whether or not we empathize with other people, whether we see all of the good things in the world or whether we choose to see the bad or the good, and whether we choose to do bad or good based on how we view the world. But why is there so much suffering on earth? The world we live in depends on our ability to empathize with others, seek truth, and cooperate to find solutions to our problems. We act based upon what is more important to us in the present moment. Are we thinking about others, or are we thinking about ourselves? Do we care about other people? Do we want to help them? Or are we just trying to soak up as much thrills and entertainment and food and resources and enjoyment as possible before we die? If there was no suffering, there would be no pressure to help those in need. How could you choose to give up all your money to charity if there was no people in need? Our actions reflect our true character. We must know sadness before we know joy. There is no way to see someone's true nature in a world without evil. If everything was free, there would be no way to tell which people would give the clothes off of their back to help someone else, and who would be willing to sell their grandmother for their next meal. We're willing to sacrifice other people, but we're not willing to sacrifice ourselves. What about religion, the Bible, religious texts, religious prophets? God cares more about our actions more than what we believe in. God is trying to make us more suitable people to live in a world without pain and suffering, in a world that is eternal, in a world where we cooperate and help each other and love each other and choose to make the world a better and more interesting and more fun place for everybody. God cares more about our actions more than what we believe in. We're not supposed to believe a certain thing. We're supposed to have a certain sort of development. It doesn't matter what you believe. It matters how you use the knowledge that you're given. Too often we look for something better than actually appreciating what we already have. Even after we receive what we are looking for, we look for something better, even if what we have is still better than the majority of people around us. We glorify messengers, but don't follow the message. We point out the flaws of others without looking at the flaws within ourselves. There was a point in our history when we burned people for supposedly using witchcraft, when we maimed people and killed people in the name of God without following His message of peace and love. There was a time when science and medicine was outlawed because of religion. People who thought outside of the box, people who questioned the narrative, were ridiculed, jailed, even executed. People who believed the world was round instead of flat. People who believed that cutting open the dead corpse to study it to further scientific knowledge were considered blasphemous. We'd rather argue about who is right instead of figuring out what the facts actually are. What is the truth? I'm not dismissing anyone's beliefs. All I'm saying is, if you are either an atheist or you believe in some sort of afterlife, just because you believe something doesn't make it true. There's only one truth. Every religion claims that their religion is right, that their religion is true, but there's only one real religion. I mean, something has to happen after death, and there's only one truth. Not everybody can be right, which means some of us are wrong. We can only choose to work together and find out what that truth actually is, or argue about it for the rest of human history. What evidence suggests the near-death experience is actually real? Let's start with the fact that the near-death experience is a real phenomenon. As I've discussed earlier, we've all heard about it in movies and television. There's thousands of accounts of it, and these are real people in real homes that you can walk to and talk to about their experiences, and they believe what they saw was real. The near-death experience happens during cardiac arrest, the cliche scene where the patient is flatlining and the doctors are shocking them back to life with chest paddles. When the heart stops beating. Everyone who goes through the experience believes it is 100% real, even more so than everyday waking reality. In one case, a man went from being filthy rich to giving up all his money to charity and spending the rest of his life helping the poor, living in a slum. There are reports suggesting we reincarnate in between the ages 1 to 4 that we barely remember. Some children can recall their past lives. Evidence of this is shown in such stories as James Houston, a World War II pilot who reincarnated as a little boy. His family contacted his often discussed previous family, and he knew them all by name, requesting precious family items only he could have known about. This story appeared on Fox 8 News and is one of many. There is a certain boundary to heaven, a point of no return. There's a point at which near-death experiencers claim that they are standing on the edge of heaven, and some people report seeing an edge that if they crossed it, they wouldn't be able to return back into their human life. Some information isn't allowed to be taken back. Some of it we're not allowed to know for a higher purpose, a higher cause, a cause we don't understand. However, there is one certain way to find the truth. We now possess the technology to be capable of inducing a near-death experience and send scientists into the afterlife. If there are truly beings in the afterlife that we can communicate with, as many near-death experiencers often claim, then it should be possible for us to establish contact with them. We can then learn what our true purpose here on earth is, and end religious wars, and live life as it should be. The problem is this research isn't taken as seriously as it should be. It isn't as popular or well known about, and in fact, my research has suggested that the government may very well already know. Because if people knew the truth, we would no longer follow the ways of materialism. We would no longer follow the rule of kings and queens, presidents and dictators. We would no longer need them to guide us. We would have guidance. Their power would vanish, they would lose all of their materials, and we would convert to a world more suitable that God intended for us. And they don't want to give that up. So they go on pretending to believe that they don't know, so that we never learn the truth. Whether the truth is being hidden or not, the only way we will ever know is by acknowledging the evidence, coming together and establishing more foundations for the research of spiritual sciences and demanding answers. This is Chris Shell, and I'll have more videos in the future. Thank you for watching.